Hello fellow companions, this is Jensen Vars. Let's talk about the plot tracks in the Plot Unfolding Machine today, and of course everything will happen in the Plot Unfolding Machine Companion app. So let's get started and maybe to learn something new for you and your games. So we want to play an RPG, a tabletop RPG by yourself, and you want to tell a great story with it, and you want to use dice, and you are open to improvising it, and you might have some ideas in mind, and you say, oh, it would be awesome if I could play, I don't know, Pathfinder, Fallout, create a few characters, and what if that. And yes, the Plot Unfolding Machine can help you with that. It's a great system to develop those stories. So today we're going to talk about a specific feature of the Plot Unfolding Machine, which is actually one of its core features, called the plot track. So let's get going with that idea and see how it can help us. In the app, when we go and create a game, we are facing a first set of questions and points about the game, and of course we can give a title, like we can say, I don't know, The Falcons of Destiny. I'm making something up, doesn't matter. You can define a universe, and these are like things that begin to scope the very first element of your game, like where does this happen, or in which genre, or in which setting, or in which world. And then you also have a starting location. It's like, okay, where things will develop to unfold. And you also have a plot scope. This is telling, prompting the player to start thinking, okay, what would you like to address in here? And this is where things begin to be interesting to the Plot Unfolding Machine, because each Plot Unfolding Machine game represents a plot, and the plot is like a scope of something you want to solve throughout your characters. And the idea of all of this is that you don't drift away in your story, that you don't go just wherever and end up wherever and maybe nowhere, or like not have a sense of progress or evolution. And it doesn't mean you cannot like play to explore the world. It doesn't mean that you can just play to find out. On the contrary, it means try to define the first section of that exploration, or the first aspect of it. Maybe figuring out the wilds, maybe discovering the ruins of that area, maybe making those first steps and discovering what's out there. But it is a scope in the end. And that very thing, that when you put it in a scope, it will help you, in my opinion, to kind of concentrate or focus your game somewhere. So when we say a plot scope, it's like, okay, what do we want to tackle with in the next few sessions of a game? And that's kind of helping us to get going and achieve it and finish it and go through it. So when we define that plot scope, it's important to have a more or less idea of what is the plot seed, maybe, or where things will trigger. Maybe there is a civil war, maybe like in this game, Forbidden Lands, like the mist is now cleared and an open world of exploration is now open. Maybe this element of the mist going away and enabling exploration is the first plot scope we want to explore. Like, what's the first impression our characters could get from feeling that they can now go out of their hometown or their villages where they lived their entire lives for generations. Now there's an open world out there, and that very aspect of that, the mindset of thinking, hey, there is something, that is already a plot seed. So it doesn't mean you cannot play something like to figure it out, but just, I would suggest nothing. There has to be a trigger for why are you starting the game today. So in the world, right, why does the game begin on a Thursday in that world and not on a Wednesday, right? Something is happening on that Thursday. Maybe it is a time the characters could figure out something. So all of this I'm saying is like, that's what we need to define in the very step of the game, because that sets the ground and the foundation for that. And all of this is like the preparation to get in what is the plot track and the plot focus within this plot scope we are defining. Now, it sounds like a lot of theory, but in element, playing and storytelling and developing a story, it needs this kind of thinking. And when we think about the plot track, now that we define a plot scope, and actually in the app you can even press on this lamp to get a random idea. It gets a random idea from Game Unfolding Machine. It says something like, the mission is to scout a location to help a faction make an attack. The motivation is to prevent something that's happening in the world to get even worse. So this is kind of giving you those ideas flowing in case you're open to anything and you really don't know what to do. So this is something really great from the app. But once you say, okay, I know what is my plot scope, I know what I want to tackle in this next step, let's think about the plot track. So what is the plot track in the Plot Unfolding Machine? The plot track is a guideline, guardrails for your plot to unfold. Doesn't mean it's going to be linear, doesn't mean you have to, start here and end there. It means it likes guiding your interpretations of the oracles, it's guiding your imagination, so you actually move forward and actually get to solve things. Because in solo and playing solo or storytelling, it's very easy to just, again, drift away all the time. It's like, oh, new problem here, okay, I'm going rushing through that problem. Oh, another problem popped out here, now let's hunt that one. The plot track kind of is a reminder of, hey, remember you have a plot scope defined. Let's make sure we don't drift so much. Doesn't mean there can't be a side quest. Actually, a side quest or a secondary plot in Plot Unfolding Machine can have its own plot track. But rather it means for this given plot scope, this is the plot track. This is the journey we want to go through. Let's take a look at some of them. When we look at it, we have the standard one. It's like the typical plot structure of exposition, confrontation, and resolution, like a 3 sections plot. I'm gonna ignore the customized one, I'm gonna explain it later. There's the escalating, when things go from calm to exploding. We have a plot track for dungeons. That is meant like, okay, that's a phased process for a dungeon that we don't yet know, like an entrance, then there are some puzzles, then there could be some traps, then there could be a fight. So again, it doesn't mean you cannot have a fight in the puzzle section. It means, hey, maybe you can focus your plot around this in this time. But of course, it's meant for those kind of games. Then there's a journey, when the story is more about the characters traversal through a rising situation that has a climax and then a falling, like the typical 5-act plot structure. You have heroic, when it's more about the characters themselves and what they are called to an adventure. There is a survival plot track, when there is an unfamiliar new situation and there's an inciting incident for something new that's making things different from what they were, and how the characters endure that feeling. So again, this is just a guideline, so it doesn't mean you are stuck with that. It means, hey, if you're choosing such a plot track, it's because you would like to achieve such a storytelling aspect of it. So it is that is the essence of the plot track. There is also the crisis, the drama. You can also play without the plot track, by the way. Both in the app and in Plot Unfolding Machine, you can really say, hey, I don't care about these guidelines. I want to figure things out. I want to try things out. But after some years of playing, I learned to find value in starting and finishing. So that is the thing. And then you have, once you say, okay, my game is kind of going in this direction, you actually get to choose what is the plot focus. This is not really determined in the PDF, in the Plot Unfolding Machine books, because each sheet, if you remember the PDF, has a plot track and already a table for random prompt and modified proposals. And different sheets have different combinations, but they are fixed in one. In the app, you can choose combinations, your own combination of a plot track, which is what we showed, and a plot focus. The focus is how concentrated is your storytelling towards the world building you are defining versus how random are things as they develop. In essence, the typical one is the balanced plot focus. The balanced plot focus is a mix between random events, so your characters can stumble with something that's not expected, like a falling meteorite or whatever, versus things that you defined as per your plot nodes in the plot unfolding machine, so concentrated to what you planned. So balance is 50-50%. So you get 50% random events, 50% events that are related to what your plot is about. There is the encounters plot focus that is going to bias this balance towards having more of your encounters, your predefined encounters. So you say, my story is really about hunting kobolds. So I really want to find kobolds all the time, constantly. And then you choose the encounters one because it's going to bring those kobolds from your plot nodes encounters into the game more often. The story-driven one is that one that biases things towards generally your plot nodes and less about random events. So generally your game is going to be more about what you planned and what you prepped over what is random. There is the PUM variant of story-driven that has and it introduces the random event, but as part of the modified proposal. It's a bit of an advanced mechanic, but if you're familiar with plot unfolding machine, it shifts the ABCD table, the random events table, to the modified proposals and leaves the random prompts, plot beats, to be about your story. So it's a story driven, but it has random events in your within your expectation of a plot beat. It's a bit advanced, we can put a parenthesis there. The prepless is the other way around, so you don't want to prep, you don't want to fill the plot notes list, you just want random events. This is good for random exploration and you want to figure things out of the blue, then you can do the prepless. Let's take a look at the game a bit now that we went through this, a bit of theory. How do things look like in game? So once I'm in game, either the plot unfolding machine sheets or the app, you will find yourself with the plot track on top. So in this case I chose the journey plot track. As you see, it begins with the exposition when you're exposed to the problem, and you have the oracles to the left whenever you have questions, and then to the right side there is the plot notes, which I didn't fill in this case. There's also should be characters and locations if you like, essentially ready to be used. But when you have the plot track and you're playing, you're supposed to make an interpretation based on what is the section you're in. So if it begins on the exposition, that is telling you already, okay, start to present the game and what the game is going to offer at the beginning of the story. So that means your proposed scenes, your plot beats should be around exposing the problem in the plot. Again, it doesn't have to be fixed. You can begin with a fight if you want, you can begin with a chat in the tavern, but it gives you that guideline. So whenever you say, okay, I'm ready to move the story forward and I'm not sure what's going to happen next, or maybe I'm stuck from right away from the beginning, you can always call a random proposal that says, okay, you deal with a difficult challenge, something fails or breaks. So the story will begin with something that was working fine and now it's no longer working fine. For example, I don't know, it's a steampunk game and there is this train that everybody relies on for getting supplies, and for the first time in history this train has been sabotaged and is damaged. There is chaos in the supply lines. I don't know, that could be the trigger, so you begin exposing the story there. And then you say, hey, I like this idea, let's count it as a plot bit, let's start making advancement already, and you begin playing here with your first plot beat. And that is the case. As you advance a plot towards the game, this plot track will be a reminder, a guideline for what should you focus now around. So in the end of the game, you achieve that smooth transition, even if you're improvising it. Now, as another way to advance the plot track, remember you can propose something by yourself, but you need to modify it in order for it to count, so to say. So you can say, okay, the characters on the train One of them is actually helping the machinist, the driver of the train, and then that moment of sabotage happens, and that's my situation right now, and I want that moment to count. So you modify it. This thing says, okay, make the location more favorable. Maybe that day is a sunny day. There's clear view, so that helps because you see the saboteurs coming from the distance and you are actually able to sound the alarm, and so on. Third, another way to advance the plot track is by yourself. So whenever you explain something that happens and you are very satisfied with that and how things evolve naturally, and you say, hey, this should advance the plot track, you can always right click and advance the plot track. Now, once you get some experience with the plot unfolding machine and you say, hey, I want my own plot track, I want my own transition and journey, or I want to play by myself however I want, in whichever structure I want, and then I would like that the outcome of my own story becomes the plot track. So the plot track is the outcome of what happened, rather than the guideline for what will happen. So either for that would be more like an improvised play style, or whenever you say, hey, I want to create my own plot track, then the customized plot track in the app is going to help you. Let's take a look at the first case. Whenever you know or you want to play a certain structure ahead of time, you can pre-create it and you say, okay, my first section will have 3 beats, my second section will have 2, my third section will have 3, and my fourth section will have 2. I don't know, just to give you an idea, maybe you're playing a prepared adventure and that prepared adventure has a set of chapters. So pay attention, guys, because this is a very good way to play pre-written adventures. You can, like, without spoiling yourself, take a look at the chapter or episodes of your pre-written adventure and expose it here. Then you can use the plot track as a way to refer back to the pre-written adventure and remain in the game. So this you can name in them whatever you would like meeting the dragon, finding a way out, the escape, and so on and so forth. Now let's do use case number 2. Whenever we want to improvise a game and then we want the plot track to be the consequence of what we play. Let's bring this to a new plot for a quick test. I'm gonna super rush forward, and I'm gonna say, okay, I'm playing, and then at some point there is a proposal, and then I advance the plot. So as you can see, this is going to shape up along the game. Then something happens and I say, oh, this is so cool, I think this is closing the section now, I want to jump into the next chapter. So you click over here, and then a new section will open, so your current beat will be part of the chapter 2. So then you continue playing, things happen again, and say, oh, I'm ready and I want now to jump to a new section. Then you open a new section. So this is the improvised play style. And what's great about this is that whenever you finish or feel you're finished with this plot scope, you can look back and see the structure of the plot that you unfolded. So super amazing. Remember, you can also rename things later, and it will adapt on your log area and export your game to a PDF and share it with your friends in the community. Lots of things happen. I hope I didn't talk too fast, but I hope you learned something out, because the plot unfolding machine can be a powerful tool for your storytelling and solo role-playing games experience. With that said, Jensen Vars here. Like, subscribe, promote, share my products, my tools, share them with whoever you like. The community, I think they are amazing. You're amazing as well, the community. And yeah, consider joining the Discord server if you're not there. And stay tuned. Until next one, bye bye.